Well, good morning and welcome to Abu Dhabi for the final major marathon of 2025. We are just a couple of minutes away from the start of the 2025 ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon. Its local time is 05:35, that's why it's still dark. It will be dark for the first hour of the race. The elites will be getting underway at 5:45 local time, and then we'll have a whole host of races following. There will be the mass marathon, the marathon team relay starting at 6 o'clock local time. We have a 10K, a 5K and a 2.5K race for kids. The entries, which didn't actually close until a few hours ago at the end of the final day of the Race Village registration, is somewhere around 36,000 runners, so up 10% on last year. This is Geoff Wightman with you on the live stream. Welcome along. We will be concentrating our attention on the elite marathon race, where we have a fantastic field. You can see the waves of mass starters just starting to assemble for their 6 o'clock start. The course has changed slightly this year. It's still the same essential panhandle shape, very flat, very fast, very smooth course, but we have a new start area here at Zayed Sports City, and that's to accommodate the increasing numbers. Previously we've been at the ADNOC Tower. You can see bottom left, that's the forecast, 22 degrees. I think that's at the finish. It's around about 19 degrees now, and for the elites it probably won't get much higher than 21 degrees. The humidity relatively high at the moment, about 78%, and that will decrease to 71% humidity. So that's why there is so much international sport in the Emirates at this time of year, because the weather is very predictable and very kind. We had Formula One Motor Racing Grand Prix a week ago. We've got triathlons, we've got cycle races. Here's a quick look at the names that will be making the headlines from today's race. In the men's field, we've got 5 men who've run under 2:05. I suspect the course record, which has stood since 2019, will remain intact. That was prodigious by Ruben Kipyego, but the pacemaking will go out at around about 62:45 to halfway. The women's field is fantastic. There is definitely the possibility of the fastest ever time in this event, which was set by Bridget Kosgei at 2:19.15. That is well within the compass of a number of these women. There are 5 women who've broken 2 hours 21, so I think the women may claim the headlines today, but we shall see. Prize money is $50,000 for the winner. There are bonuses for course records. It drops away quite steeply after that, roughly halves every position thereafter. $20,000 US dollars for second, $10,000 for third, $6,000 for fourth, $3,000 for fifth, goes right the way down to 10th place. It's a 4-lane carriageway. You can see it's a dual carriageway, 8 lanes. The traffic still open in the opposite direction. Remember, this is 5:30 on a Saturday morning, a city that never sleeps. And in amongst the masses, you can see they've picked up already their commemorative T-shirt at the Race Village over the course of this week. There's been a lot going on around the stadium area. ADNOC, the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, the sponsors, as they have been right from the start. The course does still pass by their headquarters building, but it used to be the location of the start and the finish. I think the numbers have somewhat outgrown that now, but ADNOC still doing their bit, and we look forward to seeing, probably in the daylight, along the Corniche as the runners get into the midpoint of the race. There aren't that many places in the world where you could be warming up at 5:30 in the morning for a marathon just in your singlet. Very, very nice temperature. There's around about 150 nationalities represented in the mass fields. I think it may actually be slightly up on that. The last race will be getting underway at 6:30 a.m. So we'll see 3 generations of some families taking part in the event. There's a courtesy bus service that's bringing competitors from further afield. Park and ride arrangement going on. Prize money for the elite wheelchairs as well. So we are just about 5 minutes away from the start of the 2025 ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon. Conditions could not be better. This is the 54th anniversary month of the creation of the United Arab Emirates. 7 separate emirates. Prior to that, the most well-known, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, Ras Al Khaimah, and it was in 1971 that Sheikh Zayed brought them all together to create a new nation. So you'll see some of those illuminations on the lampposts and the central reservations while we remain in darkness for the first part of the race, just commemorating Independence Day, Nations Day, the creation of the UAE. The predominant nationalities in those elite fields are East African, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Kenyan. Here come the elites being led out from their separate warm-up area. So we are less than 4 minutes away now from race start. We do have first and second in the women's race from last year back again. That is going to be a fascinating rivalry. And we also have Tekla Gergish of Eritrea with her own personal pacemaker. There is a whole host of pacemakers that will be accompanying the men and the women, 3 in each. But the Eritrean has decided that she wants a personal pacemaker. The instructions at the technical meeting yesterday just reminded the pacers that they're allowed to finish in the case of the men's pacemakers. This is the course. So it is flat and fast. These are some of the landmarks we're going to be seeing. Capital Gate. We're heading out towards the Arabian Gulf there. The Corniche is the frontage onto that. There's the former race start and finish. The ADNOC Tower reached at just around 12 kilometres. Then 8 kilometres along Corniche Road. That beautiful frontage. And then the start of the return journey. It's a panhandle-shaped course. So this is heading back east. 42-kilometre race. Hardly any incline to speak of, no wind at all. The sun will be out at this point. They pass the magnificent Sheikh Zayed Grand Mosque and then into the final 3 kilometres to finish right in front of the football stadium here at Zayed Sports City. So I was saying that the male pacers are allowed to finish, and in fact 2 of the previous winners came into the race as pacemakers. In the case of the women, they pull away to one side. They do not cross the line with the females, the male pacemakers, nor are they allowed to grab or hand their drinks to them. So pretty strict rules on that. But here we are. This is the combined men's and women's elite field, and we are now less than 2 minutes to race start. I think the feeling is that in the last couple of years, the pacing has been too ambitious early on. And in particular, in the women's case, they have gone slightly too fast in the first half of the race and paid a bit of a price for that in the closing stages. So it's a much more controlled effort on this occasion. Boyd, you can see on the front of his singlet, the number 2 bib goes to Mike Kipton Boyd, 206 man. 32 there is one of the pacers, that's Andrew Kipruto Kipyego, one of the male pacers. So on my watch, we're into the final 60-second countdown before the start.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, momentarily from now, we're going to have our first race for the morning at 5:45. We're going to have a complete category. Fatima, I'm so excited.
We will be back in the Emirates for the Dubai Marathon in January. This is the last major marathon of 2025. It is a World Athletics elite label race, and some of the athletes have labels attached to them, elite or gold, meaning that there's a quota of a certain caliber of athlete needed for the race to preserve its own status as well.
Abu Dhabi. Let's hear it out. Elite racers, are you all ready? All right.
So they're clearing the start line. We're into the final ignition sequence for the 2025 ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon. Welcome along wherever you're joining us for this live coverage. It's 5:45 a.m. on Saturday, the 13th of December. This is the 7th edition of this race. Missed 1 year in 2020 because of the pandemic. Spin through some of the leading names in that elite field. I wonder if they're just going to give the elite wheelchair, the lone competitor here, a head start, just so he gets clear. I think it's $1,000 for the first wheelchair finisher. Very wheelchair friendly, this course. Beautifully smooth roads, flat and fast. Just down the road in Dubai, the Emirates are currently hosting the Asian Youth Paralympic Games. Final 2 days of competition this weekend. There's that light show just on the right-hand side of the screen commemorating 54 years of the creation of the United Arab Emirates. We will be, it's probably about an hour away now, full sunrise, so the competitors will only have to run half of the race with the sun coming up, but it is only predicted to get to around about 21, possibly 22 degrees at the finish of the elite race, and not higher than 23 for everybody that's finishing. Those numbers in the 30s, they are the pacemaking team. 30 to 32 will be pacemaking the men. 33 to 35 will be pacemaking the women. Behind that tape, they will have 15 minutes to wait before the first of the mass starts gets underway. So it's a field of around about 50, maybe 55 runners in the largely invited elite field. Notice when they were warming up, they stay in national groupings. The Ethiopians all warming up together, the Kenyans all warming up together, Eritreans, Turks just warm up almost as if it's a world championship in their national team formations. There's the elite women over on the left-hand side of the shot. There are some fantastic athletes in there, and a real age spread as well, one or two making their debut. So it sounds as though we are now ready to get going with this 2025 ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon. Just the elite wave getting underway imminently. There'll be a full presentation of awards, the medal ceremony that will close out our program. Looks to me like the first start will be for the wheelchair, because otherwise the runners would have their toes behind that line.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, first up, we're going to have the wheelchair race. We had a lone and contested, of course, is the race.
So the first start will be for the lone wheelchair competitor. Just probably give him a minute or two of clearance. You can see the loading areas just getting filled up with runners behind. The marathon relay will be a key feature of the first of the mass starts. And then after that, we have the 6:15. We have the 10-kilometre race. That always has a decent sprinkling of international runners and prize money as well. And the final two will be the 5K and 2.5K. 2.5K for the junior athletes. That will be at 6:30 a.m. So we'll have finishers right the way through to about 9, 9:30, 10 o'clock this morning. See the drone camera just hovering above the crowds there. That will be bringing us fantastic pictures throughout the morning. Around the course there's 14 drink stations for the elites who prepared their own concoctions of carbohydrate and electrolyte fluids yesterday. There are 8 personal drink stations which will have those recognisable individual bottles on them. The first of those will be at 9 kilometres.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, coming up again, we're going to have the wheelchair elite category coming up on the mark. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, let's do the countdown in 10.
Well, he's doing a countdown. I hope it doesn't trigger the runners because I think this is just for the wheelchair. Yeah, they're having to say just the wheelchair, just the wheelchair, just the wheelchair. Oh no, they've all gone.
Come on, Abu Dhabi, here we go. Elite race is off. Good start.
So we're up and running with the Abu Dhabi Marathon, sponsored by ADNOC, the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company. It'll be 15 minutes before the masses start. Our concentration will be on the elites. It looks as though 1 or 2 bandits have got in at the back there for the non-elites.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming up next, we're going to have later on at 6, you're going to have your marathon and marathon relay start to
Pacemaker's been shooting off ahead. It doesn't look like there's any takers at them. They need to just be careful that in the excitement of this opening kilometre they don't get too carried away. And this guy is nothing at all to do with the elite field, I don't think. That's Mike Kipton-Boyd. First look at him. That's the lowest seed in the race. There isn't a number 1 in the men's race, but he just plugs in behind those 3 pacemakers. That's Frederick Domangoli, Idris Hani and Andrew Kipruto Kipyego. They'll form a bit of an arrowhead and he just tucks in behind them. Boyd now 33 years of age. Those of you that go back away in athletics will remember very famous Mike Boyd, an 800-metre runner on the track. One of the first phalanx of outstanding Kenyans in summer championships. That's a look at the whole complex that is the Zayed Sports City. In the background there, there's basketball, beach volleyball, tennis. The football stadium's the largest in the whole of the Emirates. I think it hosts 37,000 people. There was a FIFA World Cup game played there. There's also a fitness centre and an ice rink. And it looks to me like there's a significant separation already between that leading group with Boyd tucked in behind them and then the secondary group. It's very early days yet. And further back where you can see the lights on the right hand side of the screen, those will be the leading women. So the men's field starting to separate out. It's a fine judgment for these pacemakers to get it right. They're meant to go through 10 kilometers in 29:30, halfway in something around 62:30, 62:45, and then to continue their duties until 30 kilometers, hopefully somewhere around 128.5 or 129. And then it's okay for the pacemakers to stay in. And I would just reiterate that I've seen a lot of marathon races over the years, but this is one where it's twice been won by a pacemaker who has stayed in the race, having completed their duties. Direction of travel at the moment is west towards the Corniche, towards the waterfront. Long straight boulevards, great if you're running well, not so great if you're struggling in the closing stages and you can see your next kilometre or two of running. The lone figure there on the bike with the fluorescent vest is Morris from Netherlands, who is the course measurer. So he set out this course with the adjustments allowing for the new start and finish area, but still the same loop it's always been, just a different start and finish point within it. But then he accompanies the race to make sure that the course that he measured is the one that they follow. Looks as though the groups are now starting to merge together. It should be the case really in this. There was a bit of a mad dash for the line. There were a couple of mass runners who'd got in with the start there. But this is back live on the start line for the first wave of mass runners in the full marathon distance and the marathon relay. So I think it's roughly 4 by 10 kilometers for the team relay. Groups of friends, clubs, neighbors, workplace colleagues, perhaps with a view to doing the full marathon distance individually at some point in the future. Mascot is a falcon, that's the national bird of the UAE. This one is Fala, which means success. You can see at the base of those balloons there are times, target times. You can see the one over on the left, 4.5 hours. So if you want to run 4.5 hours, especially those making their debut, you follow those balloons and the paces at the foot of them. But there's a whole range. It's usually everything from sub 3 hours to just get you round in 6 or 7 hours. This is the first major landmark on the course, the Capitol Gate. And yes, it does tilt. It's an architectural wonder. 18 degrees westwards. You see the lean out over the carriageway there. The Leaning Tower of Abu Dhabi. As well as ADNOC, the national petroleum company, ADNEC, the National Exhibition Centre, have a huge building, which we'll see a little bit later on, that is part of the exhibition complex adjacent to Sports City. I think they also own the Excel Centre in London, which was an Olympic venue at London 2012. So the only taker at the moment, at least the only taker in shot, well there they are, the chasing group, but that's still Mike Boyd, who tucked in behind those leaders, and the rest just taking their time getting alongside. There's some real experience in this lineup. I don't think I've ever seen one with so many athletes in their mid to late 30s. We've actually got Kip Kemoy, who's 41 now. The marathon does favour a longer career, but some of these athletes running 3 marathons a year. The ideal position is that the pacemakers form a little arrowhead. There's the lead women with their group of pacemakers. Difficult to pick out the bibs at this range and angle, but that's the majority of the elite women's field in there, and there are high hopes for them for a 2:19 clock. And you can see the the man with the white singlet back in about 4th place. He is Tekliab of Eritrea. He's the personal pacer for Dolce Tesfu, the Eritrean, who is just sitting behind him. So there are 3 male and 3 female pacemakers, most of whom are Kenyan, but the Eritrean is Eritrean female has her own pacemaker. I just think those are busy roads, don't you? For 5, well, it's now 6 AM on a Saturday morning. Even as we were coming into the start area at 4 AM this morning, the roads were still quite busy with regular traffic. The weekend has changed in the United Arab Emirates. When this race started, the weekend was a Friday and a Saturday, and by national government directive it's been brought in line with the rest of the world, so the weekend is now a Saturday and a Sunday. You can see those illuminations on the central reservation, probably right the way through now to the Corniche and all the way along, celebrating 54 years of the UAE. So we're looking at the first wave of the mass marathon getting underway. Between 36,000 and 37,000 entrants. The only doubt about that, I was with Scott Overall at breakfast today, and he was at Sports City until very late last night. There were, I think, 40 people registered in the last 10 or 15 minutes. Obviously not all for the marathon, in fact none for the marathon, but for the 10k, the 5k, and the shorter distances they were registering up until, well, 6 hours, 7 hours ago. So huge numbers and great interest and real growth in this event. It started in 2017, it's only the 7th edition with 1 year missed for lockdown, and 10% increase on 2024. So going well, and Boyd going well. He was very enthusiastic early on to get in behind those pacemakers. On the left hand side of this shot you can see the rest of the men's field just taking their time getting in the slipstream. It's an unusual blend of ancient and modern Abu Dhabi, a lot of cutting edge architecture and beautiful buildings, some of the most famous in the world and the most futuristic, but also we will see some of the ancient landmarks of what was once the, well, it still is the capital city of the UAE. Very upright figure. Boyd on the left, 7th in the Seoul Marathon this year in 2:07. Also in October, 2:08, so he's having a fine year and will want to round it off with a win. But the rest of the field have now more steadily got back on terms. They can see the timing truck on the lead car, these three. Just need to settle into a rhythm that is sustainable for the first 30 kilometers of the race. The men's course record was set in 2019 and it was by Ruben Kipyego, I remember it, 2:04:40. And notwithstanding the development of super shoes and the overall improvements in standards in marathon running since 2019, it has endured. It's a great record. They may not get it today, but they're going to give it a good go. At the bottom of the shot in the mass field, you can see one of the early pacing groups with those balloons strapped to the backpack so that those targeting a time can take away the last great uncertainty of a marathon debut. What does my target time feel like? Well, don't worry about it. Just tuck in with the pacing groups and they will take you directly there. What a fantastic sight. We're into probably the 4th or 5th running boom. The early days of it triggered by the first runnings of the New York Marathon and the London Marathon in 76 and 81. And we've had different incarnations of it. What's happening currently is that it's a much younger overall demographic. So young people in their 20s finding running and health and well-being cool. We've got a few role models and influences that are leading that. And it's also a much more equal gender distribution, so more races are 50-50 for male-female competitors against what was essentially a 90% male sport in the 1980s. Just in the center of that group, that's the leading Ethiopian Daegu, Abene Daegu. He's run 2:4 in Paris, so he's an elite label athlete. It's early stages yet, but you would probably say the men's winner is going to be from within that shot that we're looking at there. There are no other pacemakers beyond the three that are leading that group, so probably there will be a secondary group just out of camera shot beneath the drone as we look at these pictures, and then we go back a little way to the women's field. At the end of this stretch, there's essentially a right-hand turn that will take them in front of the ADNOC Tower, the headquarters of the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, and then all the way along the Corniche. So they are long, wide, straight boulevards. First drinks coming up at 9 kilometers. All of these athletes were in the technical meeting yesterday, and it was translated into Amharic as well for those that weren't following along in English. 5 kilometers, that's the first key timing segment. And if they were hoping to run 28:30 for the 10 kilometers, that should be about 14:15. We'll try and bring you an official confirmation of that split shortly. You can see two timing cars in operation there. They've got the digital clocks on their roofs. The one at the front is for the elite men, and the one just to the bottom left-hand side of the shot will be for the elite women, operating a minute or two further back. Kaan Keegan Özbilen is in that leading group for Turkey, former Kenyan. He's been around a while. He's 39 years of age now. Set a Turkish national record of 2:4:16, but had a very distinguished career on the track as well. The elite women's field has, as I mentioned, the 1 and 2 from last year back again. Ethiopians and Kenyans all have 3 names, but they're not as interchangeably, or they are more interchangeable than first name, middle name, family name. So Amanangole of Kenya is the defending champion, and I think that's her closest to us. Just struggling to read the singlet there, but she also goes by Reline, which I have down as her middle name, R-E-L-I-N-E, but she is the winner from last year. And Tekla Gerish has brought her own pacemaker this time, so not taking any chances. The male pacemakers for the women's field do an incredible job, just nursing, chaperoning the athletes round, helping them. Their job is for the leader, whoever that is, and I suspect that Tekla Gergish last year found it difficult operating a few hundred meters back down the road from Amanangole, and is deciding she's taking no chances on losing out on a pacemaker if she goes through a bad patch, so she's got a fellow Eritrean helping her. That is a big gap, isn't it, to that third group. Emily Kipchumba, closest to us with the blue shorts and the white top. 27 years of age, winner of the La Rochelle Marathon, where she set her personal best just over a year ago at 2:27. That's the big rivalry in endurance running. Kenya against Ethiopia, the Rift Valley rivals of East Africa. The Tanzanian in there is Miswadi. Her personal best is listed at 2:38. Well, if they have gone out at 2:19 pace, that is a high-risk strategy for her. But as we pan back, you can see that's pretty much the entire elite women's field. There are three pacemakers for the whole field, and the one Eritrean pacemaker just to the in position 4 as we look at it. That male pacemaker is for Tekla Gergish. Meanwhile, a little bit further back towards Sports City and towards the Leaning Tower of Abu Dhabi, the masses are now underway. The next race start that we'll have will be in just about 4 or 5 minutes time, the 10K, which is using a slightly different loop. They're all slightly different loops. Obviously the marathon and the marathon relay will do the full panhandle shape of the course. But for the 10K, the 5K and the 2.5K, much shorter circuits. 2.5K will essentially be just the perimeter of Zayed Sports City. They collect their finisher's medal on the finish line, but the bibs and the souvenir t-shirts are available for collection in the week leading up to the race. So lots of people have been calling by Sports City every day this week. It doesn't open until 3 o'clock each day, just reflecting that it's still quite warm until the sun starts to go down 3-4 o'clock-ish. So that's on the right hand side, the Abu Dhabi National Exhibition Centre. I think it's the largest in the Middle East. 73,000 square metres. Numbers visiting there rise by about 10% 20% every year, so hugely popular and staging bigger and bigger festivals, events. If Mike Boyd were to win this event, I think if you take out the pacemakers, he's led for pretty much every metre of this race so far. He has been cranking out 3 marathons a year for some while, and his sort of favourite territories are Korea, China and Spain. That's where Mike Kipton Boyd gets invited back because of his previous record. Personal best of 2:06:08 for Boyd in the green shorts closest to us. That goes back to May of 2022, but very consistent. They're all looking comfortable, but they all should. You can see the clock showing that we're only 20 minutes into a race, which probably going to take about 2 hours and 5 minutes or thereabouts. It would be great if it was 2 hours 4 and change, but we shall see. Welcome along if you're just joining us. This is Geoff Wightman with the live stream coverage of the 2025 ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon. We're getting ready for another start back at Zayed Sports City. This is due to be the 10K. I'm wondering if Ailish McColgan of Great Britain is in the elite field for this one. She has run it and won it, now resident in Dubai. think she might be in the 10K lineup. And that's it, the first wave getting underway, 22 minutes after the marathon started, using a shorter loop, so they'll finish much sooner than any of the marathon, relay or elite field runners. Something in excess of 36,000 runners across all events, the biggest ever, 10% increase on last year. And I think entries for next year open today. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, yeah, that looks like a nice place to visit, a nice place to race and run, well, you can enter today. Don't think there's the pacing groups that there are in the full marathon. Everybody just left to their own devices, and it's not particularly in corrals or seated pens as the marathon start assembly area was. But look how far back it goes. It's a huge complex. So there's plenty of room for them to be accommodated. I think that's the main reason we've moved from the ADNOC Tower as a start and finish to Zayed Sports City. Just more room, more space. That timing clock you can see in the top of the screen is the lapse time for the elite marathon, both men and women. First finishers in this are probably going to take about 29 minutes or something like that. The last finishers could take an hour and a half. So these are the first turns of any note in the race for the elite men in the marathon. That will bring them on to Corniche Road in front of the ADNOC Tower. You can see we've got that curiously purplish pre-dawn light. Over the next half hour or so the sun will come up fully. Not expecting a very big change in temperature, slight drop in humidity. It will rise to about 21 degrees, which is quite a pleasant temperature. First checkpoint that will determine whether they are on schedule per the pacing guidelines. 29:30 was the target time at 10 kilometers. That's coming up, as you can see, in 3 or 4 minutes from now. The time of itself doesn't tell the full story. You'd want to see a big pack there. You'd want to see them running comfortably. You'd want to see all three pacemakers still in an arrowhead formation. So once the 10K mass runners, you can see lots of first timers enjoying this portion of the race. Once they're clear, our final wave starts will be for the 5 kilometers. Very accessible distance for seniors, and 2.5 kilometers for kids. These are the last few 10K runners getting across the start, and you can see the first of the kids lining up. That being just pushed back a little bit. They'll have different coloured bibs for the shorter distances. We are regarding those times, the course records, as being the same, even though the course has changed a little bit. It's still the same loop, it's just a different start and finish point on the same loop. So the Abu Dhabi Marathon record is Bridget Kosgei 2:19.15 in the women's, and Ruben Kipyego 2:04.40 in the men's. panning our way through the leading half dozen or so athletes here. We saw Geoffrey Kiboi of Kenya, 2:17 debut. They will be seeing the individual kilometre markers. We don't necessarily pick them up in the coverage, but they'll be seeing those and looking at their watches and just checking, so we don't have to wait every 5 kilometres. The pacemakers introduced themselves to the athletes at the technical meeting yesterday. It is a skill in itself, not only to hit the target times, but to do it evenly and to do it making sure that you take the runners with you. So there's no sudden surges, that if the athletes have held back for whatever reason, that there's a conversation that goes on about how that's happening. But I'm intrigued in particular to see, there was a question asked yesterday about staying in the race, and the chair of the technical meeting made it very clear that that's fine, but the primary purpose of a pacemaker is to set the race up for everybody, and that requires them to keep going until 30 kilometres, and then after that it would be every man for himself. It's a slightly different gig for the men who are pacing the women's field, because that's a far more chaperone role, and it goes way beyond 30 kilometres, almost to the finish line. .29:30 was the target time for 10 kilometres. I'm just looking for an indication of whether we're through 10 kilometres. There it is, right there. So they're a little bit behind that schedule, but that's fine. Plenty of time to make adjustments on that. Doing a good job so far. Yeah, there's the conversation. We are slightly behind, but that's okay. Historically in this race, having seen all 7 editions, it's won and lost at around about 35 kilometres. That's where somebody most years seems to get away. We can have quite a big pack well beyond 30 kilometres, but about 35, something usually happens in the race that fragments things, and that's with just 7 kilometres to go. So we'll hope for something similar this year, but right now the pacers chugging along beautifully. And there's a roll call of those that are in that lineup. The flag that you may not have recognised there was the Djibouti flag. That was Idris Hirsi Hani. He's one of the pacers. There we are, there's the maths done for you. It's 20 kilometres an hour, just under 3 minutes per kilometre, and it's projecting to 2:05:36. So already, having picked up that course record of Ruben Kipyego, it may be safe for another year. 2:04:40 by the Kenyan run in 2019 is still the time to beat, and it may well be. It was a phenomenal run that year, and it has so far stood the test of time. But who knows what can happen here when the racing kicks on in earnest. If they run negative splits, that's the second half quicker than the first half. Anything is possible. Over behind them, you can see the sunrise just starting to give us that funny pre-dawn light, that purplishness on the clouds. Shortly, the seafront will be over their left shoulders along Corniche Road. That is a very long section. I always felt, as a final run-in, it was hard, because you could see the ADNOC Tower, one of the biggest buildings in Abu Dhabi, for the whole of 8 kilometres, and probably never seemed to get any closer. That was the finish line on the old course. Don't have the personal bests of the pacers or their credentials or their aspirations to go the full distance. They'll be getting a fee for doing the pacemaking duties, but a reminder, the first place prize money is $50,000, and in the 6 previous editions of this race it has twice been won by a pacemaker who has stayed in the race. So I think behind that tape is the final batch of starters over 5k and 2.5k, so real entry-level runners, maybe first-timers, maybe some of those that entered at 10 o'clock last night. The children will be doing 2.5 kilometres, which is essentially a clockwise circuit of the Zayed Sports City complex. At this front centre there you can see the ADNOC tower with the lights strobing on the top. It's almost got like an arch on top, beautiful piece of architecture. And here's a check of the leading women. I think pretty much everybody's there in shot, maybe 2 or 3 seconds back. Pacemakers doing the job there for the women are Boniface Kemboy of Kenya, Philemon Toroitich of Kenya, and Mihari Solomon Tekliab of Eritrea. He's the personal pacer for Dolce Tesfu of Eritrea. And they have gone out conservatively with that 2:21.46 estimate. That's why the whole field is still in contention. They could well knock a couple of minutes off that as the race starts to unfold. There's no question that the women have the greater firepower in the field. We've got former world champions, albeit that it was a few years back for Edna Kiplagat, but we've got athletes that ran in the Tokyo World Championships, a couple who dropped out, and therefore looking to end their 2025 season on a high note after the disappointment of those World Championships in September. There's 1 or 2 on quite a quick turnaround as well from marathons of just a few weeks ago. These are the drone shots showing the masses underway. I think we've now got all of the distances commenced. We may just be a minute or 2 away from that 5k and 2.5k race, so these may be the back markers in the 10k. I'm surprised with the pace that was being required for the women, that they're projecting to the time that they are. I know there was the philosophical point that for the last 2 or 3 years the women's field had gone out too quickly. Well, right now they've gone out too slowly, but I think that is factored in to the likely projected finishing time, that they will run negative splits and they will come back towards the 2:19 course record, event record. So if they carried on in this direction, they would head into the sea. That landmark just the right-hand side of the carriageway, the ADNOC Tower, will be the turning point onto Corniche Road. "75 stories high. Has some commanding views over the whole of the Emirates. I went to a reception there in year 1. Fantastic elevation and very high tech with what do they call it, photovoltaic glazing, LED lights and energy efficiency. Before that, we are going through one of the historic neighbourhoods. And there's the moorings for some of the yachts that you can see on the left hand side. I think the difference is wet berth marinas are those where you're moored in the waters, and dry stacks are those where the boat gets lifted out of the water. The sun is up. You can see from the flags in the background there isn't a breath of wind. These are nice conditions, 21 degrees, somewhat high humidity, above 70%. We've passed the first of the drink stations without too much incident. That was at 9 kilometres. There'll be every 5 kilometres from here on in. There will also be the opportunity for generic water and sports drinks. There are 14 of those, just 8 personal drink stations. So I think that was 13 kilometres they've gone through. "54", the lights, we'll see a lot of those from here on in, even as the sun comes up, is the number of years since the creation of the UAE as a nation. This is where the race used to start, so just in front of the ADNOC Tower, the headquarters of the oil company, and finishing there. It's the same loop, we're just starting and finishing on a different point of it at Zayed Sports City. "15 kilometres for the men isn't too far away. That will be another opportunity to see how they're projecting. 21 kilometres is the halfway point. It's a very long section coming up along the Corniche. It's 8 kilometres in a straight line alongside the water. And it looks as though, in addition to the 3 pacemakers, I'm counting, what do we have there, 8 maybe athletes, and it looks as though 1 or 2 of them have just drifted away from that. There are no secondary pacemakers, so if they're not in that leading group that we're looking at now, they've got to work it out for themselves, for those chasing, generate their own pace. Mid-packers, what do we call that shade of t-shirt? Crushed mulberry, is it? Perhaps the official souvenir t-shirt this year. Nike, the partner, top-tier partner of the ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon. It's getting brighter and lighter. 1 or 2 just struggling to stay on terms with that group. We need it, in terms of the race, to be as big a pack as we can get in the second half of the race. It's not especially fast. They were within 15 seconds of the target pace, which projects to around about 2:06 or thereabouts. You can see the buildings are starting to dominate the skyline, because that is the waterfront overlooking the Arabian Gulf. Lots going on there, jet skis, sunbathing, beach volleyball. Not necessarily at this time in the morning with the sun only just coming up, but it is a beautiful part of the world. I think that will be the pattern of the next few kilometres, that as long as the pacemakers just keep clicking along at this speed, there will be 4 or 5 that will be comfortable and will go with it, but there will be 1 every few kilometres that will just start to go through a bad patch and drift off the back of that group. So there's the biography. It does have a heritage museum, the ADNOC Tower, which is the building just on the right hand side of the shot there. It was designed by HOK, the world famous architects. And there's the first glimpse of the water today. Often the race starts alongside that. Sun just coming up over those still waters. So as they turn onto the Corniche, it's 8 kilometres long. There's cycle paths, there's cafes. It's an area of reclaimed land. We'll see the World Trade Center, the mall. There's a man-made island off the front of the Emirates Palace Hotel, which is at the southern end. Getting glimpses of some of this now as they get ready to make that big right-hand turn. Here's the women's field. 101 is the defending champion, Catherine Rilleen Amanangole. Now this, if she has stolen a few meters over the other athletes, it will be somewhat reminiscent of last year, and it will be the reason why Tekla Gershish, who's just coming into shot, there's her personal pacemaker, that's why she has brought her own personal pacemaker with her, because if you don't go with the pacers, they'll work together. You do have to generate your own pace, and that's what happened to her last year, Tekla Gergish, and she has brought a fellow Eritrean with her, so she's directly behind her man. These are a little bit further back down the road, of course. They'll be around about, at this point, maybe 3 minutes behind the lead men. There will be some big gaps because the mass field is a long way further back. Started in 15 minutes after the elite international field, so there'll be some quite lonely runs here for athletes that have become detached. You've really got to concentrate and think it through. That looks like a drink station they're all searching for on the right hand side, and that has, as we so often see, just fragmented that leading group. I think the two at the back, the athlete in the black, missed his drinks, so just grabbed at the generic water right at the end. But you can see it's opened up a few little bits of daylight between that leading group. What happens with the elite athletes is they don't have loads to do, not too much running in the days leading up to a full marathon. So once they're established in the team hotel, preparing drinks is one of the things that you can preoccupy yourself with, and having lovingly prepared it and marked it out with a flag or a ribbon or a flower, they're very loath to miss out on any one drink. Those are the names in that leading group. We're now through 15 kilometers and they're going well. I think that would needed to have been under 45:30, and they may well have been that. There we are. Well, in fact, I'm not sure I believe those figures for the actual split at 15 kilometers as we take the hairpin. I think they're still operating at around about 2:06 pace. Very major road closures in place. As you can see, these are 4-lane highways, still clicking along at 20 kilometers per hour. So that has been a good 5-kilometer segment, but it looks as though the leading group, going back to that drink station, has split in two. There are 3 pacemakers up front. It looks like Mike Kipton Boyd of Kenya has gone with them, and the other 6 are just operating a couple of seconds behind. They need to just gently re-engage with the pacemakers. They're onto Corniche Road. This will be their home for the next 8 kilometers, 5 miles in old money. It is Boyd who has led every yard of this race, or at least tucked in behind the pacemakers for every yard of this race. Having a look at his watch as well, looks pretty comfortable. One of those, and it is 31 on the far side there in the yellow, Hani, is from Djibouti. So the Kenyan speaks Swahili. Don't know what Djibouti speaks. It was the other two that were saying, is it too quick, is it too slow, how are we doing? I think they're doing fine at the moment. I'm just surprised that only Boit is tucked in behind them at the moment, but that could be a function of what happened at the drink station, where one or two almost ran diagonally and sideways and lost a bit of ground just after 15 kilometers. You can see we are in the territory of the Palace Hotel, Emirates Palace Hotel, over to the left, and the sun now fully up. So coming up to 50 minutes, there's still an hour and a quarter to go in the men's race. Boit has, well, he has dominated it so far at the age of 33. If he could pull this off, it would be a huge win for him. He failed to finish a year ago in this race, so his 3 marathons a year don't always include perfect finishes. This, I think, is the chasing group. So these are positions 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And that's the little gap, although getting slightly bigger gap, that they need to close. The pacemakers only need to worry that there's at least one runner taking up their pace, and that is Boit at the moment. So they don't need to concern themselves if the rest of the field has drifted back, as long as there is one with them and they're running to time, all's well. Running the tangents on the roundabouts. Shortest line will be hugging the curves. Just looking to see if anybody is just pushing on, trying to close that gap. I think they are doing it fairly relentlessly behind, so it was just the disruption of the drink station, and hopefully the rest of those 6 will be back on terms. There on the picture-in-picture is the last start of the day. It is the 5 kilometers for adults and 2.5 kilometers for kids. So yeah, there'll be mums and kids and grandparents and grandchildren and all of that. They're getting the benefit of a daylight start. For those doing 2.5 kilometers, they'll be finished in, what's that going to take them? Around about 10 or 12 minutes. Every race finishes on the same magnificent approach to the football stadium at Zayed Sports City. You can see the fun fair, which is seasonal, and the Corniche is just the most beautiful recreational area. There's jet skis, there's sunbathing, there's beach volleyball courts, there's padel, there's pools you can see there, there's a cycle track. It's a wonderfully relaxing place. Also, bizarrely, you can see those little clusters of trees. There are wild cats that people feed that live in the trees on the embankment there. I've noticed them a few times when I've gone out for a stroll. Very urban area, and these little cats live on the flower areas, the flower beds of the embankment. Now, as we look at it, it's 3 pairs of 2 trying to get back to the pacemakers. They're doing it gradually, which is how a marathon should be. Everything should be unhurried, plenty of time to do it. But it is taking them a while to recover from the disruption of that drink station. And they've got pretty much, not quite a straight line, but a straight-ish direction along Corniche Road to do it. I think they are the first 2 now back almost in vision with Boit. So we still have 3 pacers and an 8-man game in the men's race. Kip Kamoy, now 41 years of age, has a great heritage in the Abbott World Marathon Majors. He's finished 4th in Chicago, 3rd in Boston, but it's going back a few years now as we go back to the start line and see the final wave start of the day, 5 kilometers and 2.5 kilometers. Good luck. Good luck, first timers, first time runners. More than 150 different nationalities represented in the 36,000 or so who are taking part in the events here today. They're very obediently waiting, aren't they, that next wave for their call forward. Goodness me, there's some long selfie sticks there to get the full advantage. So I think each wave gets a countdown. These are some of the latecomers in those blue-backed bibs. And it looks like the red-backed bibs are just waiting their turn. This is the women's race. That is Catherine Relin Amanangole, last year's winner, going for it again this year. Since then, she's had an outstanding record over the half marathon distance. She's been top 5 in half marathons in China, Buenos Aires and Delhi, all in the 66-67 range, but she didn't finish London last year. We haven't had too many repeat winners in the history of this event. Very tall, forward-leaning character, mirroring the gait and posture of the 2 pacemakers up ahead of her. We didn't get a look at what the gap is, but this was how she got away last year. There was one particular pacemaker who helped her pretty much the whole way to the finish. So 5 athletes have got back with the pacers, 4 athletes have got back with the pacemakers, 3 are just struggling. They're operating 2 or 3 seconds behind the leading men. We're coming up to the halfway point of the race. Well, 63 minutes will be the halfway point. The next big checkpoint is 20 kilometers. They'll be hoping to reach halfway somewhere between 62.30 and 62.45. So that's coming up in 5 or 6 minutes. Picture in picture is showing a kid on the scooter. Looks like mum giving him a helping hand. So he'll be doing 2.5 kilometers. And that looks like the very last wave within the 5K runners in the box in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. I feel like if those 3 that have become detached from that leading group could get back on terms, they would. It's far easier to run behind the pacemakers, let somebody else do the worry, let somebody else set the rhythm and just switch off. But they haven't yet. Look, you can see the 2 of them there, just 2 or 3 seconds behind. Hopefully, over the next couple of kilometers, it looks like, just trying to read the bibs, they are getting back on terms. They're taking a while doing it. the more people that are together through the halfway point, the better the chances are of a quick winning time. Just at the back of that group, Daegu of Ethiopia. Finished second in a marathon in Korea back in April of this year. Also top 7 in Prague in May, so very prolific marathon runner. It used to be the case that 2 a year, one in the spring, one in the autumn, was the norm. I think the era of super shoes and the cushioning in training and racing just means that more are possible now. Kipyego with the pink back number on the far side of the camera shot as we look at it. He's one of the sub 2:05 men, ran that time at the Paris Marathon. This year he was 12th in Barcelona. Relatively lightly raced over the last 2 years, certainly in terms of marathons, Kipyego. Ozbilen, the Turk, in the orange and white NN Racing Team colours. So the 1 hour mark coming up. They're looking at their watches, but they can also see it on the digital clock on the roof of the lead car just up ahead of them. Still, those two can't quite get back onto the pack. They'll be trying desperately hard. That, I think, is the 20-kilometre checkpoint marker, so we're 1 kilometre away from halfway. 1.1 kilometres is halfway. Just looking back, I mean, you can see they are big gaps for those that have got detached, and often runners, especially if they think they're going to be outside the top 10, because that's where the prize money finishes, will drop out. They'll have to await a sweep wagon that will come round at the back of the elite field to collect them, but it's a long way to go from here even. Big checkpoint that we're looking for here is the halfway split, 21.1 kilometres, somewhere between 62.30 and 62.45. That's coming up. And the final wave of 5k runners, the very last runners of the day, about to get underway back here at Zayed Sports City. These elite men are pretty much the furthest point away from the start now. It'll be a long eastbound journey. You can see some of the curves just starting to take them back in that direction already. There's a drink station. We will see what happens here. It can be disruptive, but it is important to hydrate, so the runners really get one shot at grabbing their drinks bottles. You can see it's one per table. Ooh, messy. Yeah. Somebody missed out there. Whoever's in the orange, I think, has missed out. It's not straightforward to share drinks bottles when they're personal drinks bottles, because they have been prepared to the athlete's own preference of carbohydrate, electrolyte concentration, so it's not one that you can give to somebody else. So they're being just a few swigs and then discarded, and it's still the same two at the back. That disruption just wasn't quite enough to get them back with the group, but they can see what they need to do. It will be so much more comfortable for them if they can just tuck in. When we get the sideways on view, you can see they're within a second, the two at the back of the leading group of 6. The pacemakers only have to do this roll until 30 kilometres. That's a little way off yet. After that, if they're feeling good, they can stay in the race. They can shoot for the prize money. It does happen. It has happened here twice. The winner has been a Pacemaker. There's 21 kilometres. Halfway is just a little bit further down the road. And this is not bad, the pacemaking. It was meant to be 62.30 to 62.45. So as they were at 10K, they're within 15 seconds of it. But we have a race on our hands. It's not just one isolated leader. There's the name check. Mosiako Thabang is the athlete we haven't mentioned, a 30-year-old who was 8th here last year. He knows his way around this loop. 6th in the World Half Marathon at Riga in Latvia in 2023. Few spectators popping up. The real time is still 6:56 on a Saturday morning in Abu Dhabi. Welcome along if you're just joining us. This is Geoff Wightman with live stream coverage from Abu Dhabi, the last major marathon of the year. And it looks to me like there's now 3 athletes in trouble behind the pacers and those leading 4 or 5 men. They've moved away from the Corniche here. It does just break up that long straight view of where you're going to be running for the next few kilometres laid out in front of you. Just still nice straight lines. It's not a technical course in any respect, and it is a beautiful surface, and there is no wind. This is an underpass though that will probably have the only notable incline of the whole race. So these are the first finishers in the 10K. You can see I mentioned it would be about 29 minutes and we're on 29:15. A sprint for the line. Goodness me, there's going to be about 6 or 7 of them in the first few seconds. So that's very decent running. That's the honour of our first finish of the day. These men are now about 60 minutes away from their finish. And we're just losing one or so out of the back of that leading group every few kilometres. The 2 guys at the back of the group have been detached for probably the last 15 minutes or so, and they just can't seem to re-engage with the group. They're having to work hard for themselves, and it is taking a toll, it appears. Psychologically, they are on the way home, projecting to 2:05:32. That would be great. You never know if things start kicking off and there's some surges come in and there's some head-to-head rivalries. We'll just keep an eye on that 2:04:40 course record of Ruben Kipyego's. It is an outstanding course record. It has stood the test of time. But the good news is we have 3 pacemakers and 5 athletes still in contention in that leading group, and 2 just a couple of seconds behind, but they do look like they are wilting, those 2 chasers. They're all the low-digit numerals on the backs of the athletes. They've got their names on their front and the bibs on their back. 2 is Boyd, 3 is Kipyego, 4 is Kipkemoy. 5 I'm just looking for. If he's there, that is Kip Courier, and I know the Bang is in there. That's number 6, the South African, and Osbilen, the former Kenyan, who's run for a long time for Turkey, is number 7 in that group. He's in the orange and white singlet, just slightly right. Abu Dhabi is awake now at 7 AM, and we are into the second half of the ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon. Still anyone's race from that leading group. In the women's race, Catherine Relin Amanangole, the defending champion, is leading with the benefit of male pacemakers. And last year's runner-up, Dolce Tesfu Teklagergish of Eritrea, with her own personal pacemaker, is still in contention. Another drink station coming up on the left. Nobody taking, or are they? These are just generic water bottles that they'll be getting there, available to everybody. Well, I thought we were on the last wave of 5K runners. There's far more than I thought. They're coming from an assembly area round to the left, so good on them. 36,000. This is probably the biggest or the most popular event of the menu today. Full marathon, marathon relay, 10K, 5K, 2.5K for kids. It looks like the 5K is top trumps. They're all getting entertained, warmed up and counted down to the start. Runners in this rave with the red bat bibs. So there is Amanangole, just about to go through halfway, through 21 kilometers. Just looking at the clock there on the left-hand side, that was 70 minutes. I wonder if she does have a negative split in her. I wonder if she can come back in 69. Course record is 2:09:15. It's a tall order. The pacemakers will do their bit for her. She's only 23 years old. She won by 3 minutes last year. That's why Tekla Gergish has brought her own pacemaker, because she isn't getting the benefit of these two. That is Boniface Kemboy. He's the one who has pace W1 on his back, and Philemon Troitich of Kenya, who's got pace W2 on his back. What a fantastic sight that is. Drone shots have really revolutionised the way that mass events are covered. In the past, that would be a fixed boom camera on a hoist above the start line. Now the drone makes its way back all the way down, gets close-up pictures, or you can have a selfie stick that's 4 meters long. Well, I'm not going to say this is the final wave, because you can see that the alphabetical letters for the zones, there are numerous zones for each of them, so we may still have another wave or two to come of 5K runners. Now things are happening on the box-in-box pictures in the men's race, because that looks like it's Mike Kipton Boyd who is struggling a little bit behind the pacemakers. In the white and orange, that is Özbilen of Turkey, now 39 years of age, going with the pacemakers. The pacemakers look freshest of all. Just to mark your card that when we reach 30 kilometers, they can just carry on and try and win the race. And the gaps are now starting to open up in that elite men's race. I wonder if there was a refreshment station there where there was a change in the order. Just looking at the side-on shot, it was far more cozy than that. There we are as we go to full picture. This is not his first rodeo for Özbilen. He is one of the most experienced elite runners there is in endurance running. 39 years of age. What a story if he could win this. But the two pacemakers also looking pretty good, and very soon their responsibilities at the front of the field will be done. Looking comfortable. Yep, everybody's still there. They've just gone to single file. Boyd going through a bad patch in the white and green there. Hayreddin of Ethiopia is the athlete just behind. Former winner of the Seville Marathon, 10th in Mumbai back in January, in all white there. In 5th as you count them back. But we've had some disruption here, haven't we? Because they were nicely clustered behind the two pacemakers. We've lost one pacemaker and one of the other runners, and they've dropped a long way back. You can see it's almost like an umbilical cord being cut when runners get in difficulty. Through 25k, 5 kilometers more of pacemaking responsibility, and there's a dropout going on behind. He's had enough. Didn't clock who that was. That may have been the third pacemaker there that is just stepping off. Andrew Kipruto, I think that could have been. Somebody in that shot is going to get a check for $50,000 US. Somebody there is going to be our new champion. And we do have a little mixture of nationalities. I'm just looking to see who I think it's mostly Ethiopia and Kenya, with Turkey as well. I don't think our South African is in there. Meanwhile, in the women's race, Amanangole Relin, as she was referred to in the previews, the defending champion, really powering on, looking great at the moment. But we've said she needs a 69-second second half. Looks like she's well capable of that at the moment if she's to take down the course record. That's the big target for the women. Should call it the event record because the course is modified slightly with the different start and finish point on the same loop. And she's now starting to pick off some of the elite men. Those two pacemakers, beautifully synchronized. Boniface Kemboy and Philemon Toroitich. Not getting a view of what the gap is back to second, and whether that is Tekla Gerish, last year's runner-up. Suspect it might be. She's got some good track credentials, Amanangole. She's run a 30-minute at 30:07 10k on the track at the Prefontaine meeting. That was last year. The London Marathon's not a very happy hunting ground for her. She's failed to finish that for the last 2 years unless she was in pacemaking duty. So the drone giving us the overhead shot of what is now 2 pacemakers and 4 definitely going the full distance, but the 4 are starting to just go to single file a little bit. Thabang is in there. I hadn't clocked which one he is. Bib 6, so we do have a little nationality spread. Osbilen in the orange, Keegan in the white and green. Then Hyridan in the white singlet, just keeping the speed up above 20 kilometers per hour. I think Thabang is the athlete that's much further back down the road. Is it Kip Correa? Bernard Kip Correa could be the fifth athlete at the back of that group. Sixth athlete. So just looking at them, they all look pretty comfortable at this point. It's what you need for the intensity of the racing that is still to come. We're coming up to 80 minutes. They're now just about 45 minutes away from the finish. Nobody is under 30 in that leading men's group. I'm not sure of the age of the pacemakers. And the women's leader is 23. So very different age profiles and depths of experience for what would be the men's and women's champions at this point, the leaders. Boyd had a bad patch. I think that may have been out of shot, that it was a drink station, because he's looking composed again now, the long-term follower of the pacemakers in the white and green. Starters still getting underway in the 5K on the picture-in-picture shot, bottom left-hand side. The 30-kilometre split that was targeted was between 128.5 and 129, so you can see we're 8 or 9 minutes away from that. The significance of it is that is the last checkpoint where the pacemakers need to lead and need to be mindful of those that they're pacing for. After that, they can race like anybody else. Some may step off, some may see a $50,000 check on the horizon. And it is the Djiboutian athlete Idris Hersi Hani in the yellow and black, with that very sort of pronounced elbow action in the yellow and white shirt. Looks like the other pacemaker is in a bit of bother now. I think he will try and keep it going, but he's at the back of that group, so that's not really pacemaking. That is M2. Well, if you're a designated pacemaker and you can't stay with the group, his job is done. So we're down to one pacer now, Idris Hersi Hani of Eritrea. He's only got to keep that going as a pacer for about another 6 or 7 minutes. Very low rising sun there. They're heading eastwards. Busy roads on the opposite side, a major road closure on this side that will be in place for probably the next 3 hours maybe for the back markers to come through. It's a mass marathon as well as an elite marathon. So the pacemaker has revived. You can see he's come round the outside on the right hand side of that shot to take his place alongside Hani of Djibouti. So he will want to try and do his bit to 30 kilometers, which is the checkpoint in the long distance. If you're feeling good, that straight stretch of road is fine. If you're struggling, that looks like it just makes it all the more tricky. So it's Kipyego, M3, the other pacemaker there in the blue singlet. Had a bad patch where it looked like he was going to step off. Now he's back with it, almost. Well, I may have spoken too soon there because he's drifting back again. Looks visibly like there's a little bit of a surge of pace gone on there. Yeah, the Djibouti athlete, Hani, has not pace-made on his own. He's always had somebody on his right shoulder, operating stride for stride, but now it's him for the next few minutes, and be interesting to see whether he goes the way of the other two pacemakers stepping off, or if he's got a bit in the tank that could get him in the prize money. 6th place earns, I think it's $1,500. So everybody in shot there, top 5, is earning at least $3,000, $50,000 to the winner. That will be going through their minds. They are professional athletes. It's kind of what they're here for. Amanangole with that busy action. The defending champion looking very, very good at the moment. We don't know what the gap is to 2nd place. That is a really strong action, isn't it? It looks like a track runner. If you didn't know this was a marathon, you're looking at the upper body there, punching the arms high. Pacemaker's doing a terrific job in front. But if she is to get the course record and any bonus that goes with that, she needs a 69-minute second half to the race. Right now, you wouldn't bet against it for Amanangole, the defending champion. 2:20.45, it is coming down. It is getting closer. She needs to bring it right the way down to 2:19.50. She will need, she needs to grab water as evenly as that. But she will need every bit of help she can get from those two pacemakers. She knows the drill because she had help last year. Take 2 bottles into the shower? No. Take 2 to drink? Yes. That's a gel that's attached to one of those drinks bottles, and she's going to take that gel neat into her mouth out of the sachet, and then she's going to dilute it with the water bottle in her other hand so that it isn't too acid on the stomach. Just it's like a gel or a jam consistency, very high concentration. So you take a bit of water just so the stomach absorbs it better. Only a few mouthfuls, that's all that's needed, just to take the edge off it. She did that pretty well, but then she's got nobody else around her. Gone to single file now at the front of the men's race. 1 pacemaker left. Djibouti athlete Idris Hirsi Hani. Boyd going through a bad patch, I fancy. Doesn't look as fluid as he did a kilometre or so back. The pacemaker now needs to take note, because his job is to pace the leader, whoever that may be, and to try and coax them to the target schedule. And the next target time we're looking for is under 1:29 at 30 kilometres, coming up in the next couple of minutes. Well, we haven't seen these chasers at any point in the race. This is like a locomotive working its way through the field. I think we're a little way down, back down the road, but we could be looking at 7th, 8th, 9th, etc. places there. So they will be in the prize money. A lot of similar singlets and working well together, but we don't know the gap they've got to close. I suspect it's more than a minute and could be as much as 2. I think the athlete at the front is Derisa Rita of Ethiopia. He's a 2:12 man, so that would suggest they're a little bit further than two minutes behind. So if you're the pacemaker, you've got a minute of your duties left, you're feeling quite good, you're looking round and thinking, well, if I get 5th, I'm going to win $3,000, in addition to my pacemaking fee, he might just decide to put in a few testing surges and see what they've got in their locker behind him. He's done a wonderful job as a pacer, but now he's allowed to stay in the race. Idris Hirsi he's actually got a couple of meters on them at the moment, so he's looking the friskiest of that leading group. Up ahead he may be able to see an arch or a column or a pillar that indicates 30 kilometers. It should be soon if they're on schedule. They were about 15 seconds behind, so somewhere near where that blue flashing light is, just beneath the bridge, should be 30 kilometers. They need to hit it soon, but we've got a great race in prospect here. And once again, the Abu Dhabi conundrum of a pacemaker who could stay in the race and could do well. Yeah, I can see the sensor pads on the road just up ahead, and the blue pillar on the central reservation. That's 30 kilometers. I think they have slowed here, there's no question of that. So it's drifting away from 205 to something around 206 or even 206 and a half. Look at the pacer though, look at it. This is where his duties are done, and he's surging. He could be going for it here. No, he stopped. He stopped. It was a final flourish. It was a last throw of the dice there. Did a good job there, Idris Hirsi Hani, but we will not get a third time pacemaking winner. It is between these four. No pacemaker to help them now. That can do strange things to a race. It can settle, it can dawdle a little bit, or somebody might decide, I'm the boss now, I'm going to take things on, or I'm going to test you. There's the nationalities. Well, Hani, Idris Hirsi Hani was the Djibouti athlete, so we've got Turkey A, Kenya and Ethiopia. In fact, Osbilem, former Kenyan. They've only got, yeah, there's the official split, so 206.37 projecting at the moment, but we've got a race on our hands. Osbilem, former European cross-country champion for Turkey 8. That event taking place tomorrow in Portugal. Long since graduated to the roads. And at 39 years of age, looks like he's got plenty of life in him yet. I think we're looking back to the point at which the last pacemaker was done. Moves away to the left-hand side of the shot, stops his watch, proof that he went to 30k, he's earned his fee. Well, Osbilem, very reluctant leader here. You can see the chatter is as they grab their drinks bottles, and that's just fragmented it a little bit again. Just wanting a word with Boyt to say, are we going to work together here? All running with their drinks bottles for a little way. Easier to find towards the third quarter of the race. Don't have so many bodies in the way. You can see your drinks bottle earlier. And they are working together, these two, aren't they? That looks like Osbilem with those rolling shoulders, just engineering a little bit of a surge here. Hirden with the pink back number in the white singlet, the Ethiopian in that group. By some way the youngest. Well, younger than the leading two at 26. Just name checking two of the other athletes in that leading group. Just trying to see whether they have accelerated there with the pacemakers gone. They've been running to somebody else's rhythm. Now they can make their own. Osborne, very busy runner, looking across. Just grimacing a little bit. Boyd seems to go through bad patches, and then with that tight upper body action, just gets going again. Huge strides for those leading two men, especially at this point in a marathon. It's real loping, eat the ground stride. This is the point in the race where we have seen the winner emerge. About 35k onwards is where the damage gets done. Kip Kamoy, the athlete in the black, now moving up into second place. Fourth in Rotterdam last year, former African 10k champion. Well, the ages of those leading competitors: Kip Kamoy, 41, Boyd, 33, Osbilen, 39. You win nothing with kids. They are masters competitors in athletics terms, all over 30, well, two of them over 35, and they're passing some of the 5k and 10k runners on their shorter loop that will also bring them back to the stadium finish line. Just checking to see whether it's Kip Kamoy or Kip Correa. The athlete in the centre of that shot. 4 and 5, very similar names, first two syllables the same. Osbilen almost seems to be influencing this race in a detached way. You can see him right over by the curb in the orange and white there. Just almost nudging things forward. We have less than 30 minutes to run. We have 4 athletes in contention, and there is big differences in the prize money. Let me just reiterate that. $50,000 for the winner, $20,000 for second, then $10,000, then $6,000. So the difference between being first home from this group at $50,000 and fourth home at $6,000, a $44,000 difference. Drink stations, this is just generic water if they want it. And Hyridan says yes please. If you look behind this group of four, you can see how significant the gaps are now back to the chasers, those that were relatively recently part of the pack. These are the chasers. That is the peloton, a group that we really didn't see, well, since before the Corniche, really, in the first 5K of the race. Had a brief catch-up a few minutes ago. Moving well. They'll be picking off runners without even realising it, with those that are dropping out up ahead of them. So we may be looking at, could be top 8 finishes now for the runners. Maybe even top 6 if they're able to keep going at this speed and pick off a few more. There will be those dropping out, so they won't necessarily know where they are in the race. But they've worked together beautifully. Well, now he drops his arm. I can see that it is Kenneth Kipkemoy, and he is 41 years old. Fourth in Chicago in 2018, third in Boston in 2019, winner of Eindhoven in 2023, won Eindhoven again this year in 2:06. That was only on the 12th of October, so he's turned it around really well. 2 autumn marathons, or 2 third quarter marathons, fourth quarter marathons. But Osbilen now on the downslope of this bridge. He's just asking a question of the other 3. Are you feeling as good as I am at this point? Quite a ragged arm action, the shoulders rocking a little bit. But the answer coming from Mike Boyd, the long-term leader, or the leader behind the Pacemakers, is I am struggling, it appears. Going through a bad patch. The 5K runners peel to the inside of that curb. And we check in again with Catherine Amanangole, the defending champion in the women's race. Still with those 2 pacemakers. Very upright, neat running action of those 2. Still needs to find a minute, more than a minute and a half in this last 12 kilometres to close in on the course record of Bridget Kosgei. It was a fantastic run by Kosgei. It secured her, I think, selection for the Kenyan Olympic team when she ran 2:19.15 to win here in 2023. So neither of the course records are easy, but Amanangole has a chance. Just needs to, yeah, doing the same drill with the gel and water. She needs to take her time getting back on terms. Still moving very, very strongly. It's the 7th edition of this event. Nobody has ever successfully defended a title. We don't know what the margin of lead is for Amanangole over second place currently in the women's event. If it is the Eritrean Tekla Gergish, then she will have her own pacemaker, and they may still be able to see her. She was last year's runner-up. In the sunshine, those are the leading 4 men, but they are nowhere close to each other. They were shoulder to shoulder The smart money is to stay over on the right-hand side near the bollards to run the shorter curve around the right-hander. Yep, the two on the left have just realised that it is curving around to the right, so it saves a few meters if you just stay close to the cones. Course measurer is Morris in the fluorescent bib on the bike, but this is Osbilen looking potentially for the marathon win of his life, but not a comfortable leader at the moment. That bouncy, raking stride, but he's looking over too much for my liking. Just get on with it. If you're going for the win, go for the win. Don't worry about what's going on behind. There's another drink station coming up. That always seems to have a say in what happens in these races. Osbilen grabs, gets, without breaking stride. These are personal drinks bottles. There'll only be a couple more of these left in the race. And it looks as though we have a two-man game. Osbilen of Turkey, and is it Boit? No, it's not. It is Hiridan of Ethiopia. Turkey against Ethiopia. Mike Kipton Boit has 2 seconds. That's the biggest gap he's had so far. Finished his hydration. Now he needs to just put the pedal down a little bit, see if he can prise that gap open. 39 years young. I think he would be the oldest winner of this race, and probably one of the oldest winners of any marathon of note this year, if he can pull it off. But he has 3 seconds to work off. He's looking back too much. That would only encourage the chaser to see him keep looking. It's almost like a nervous reaction from him. I don't think, in truth, he's been in this position before, leading in a major marathon. They go through another major checkpoint there. We'll get the split on that very shortly. That may be 35 kilometers. 7 kilometers to go. He's not getting away. That will discourage him a little bit if he looks back and still sees the same bogeyman in the rear view mirror. Third place, Kip Kemoy, not too far behind. Turkey leading, Ethiopia second, Kenya third. Has he managed to squeeze another second out of that? You can see the grimace though. You can see both sets of teeth. Yeah, he's working hard. I don't think he quite knows what to do in this situation. Looks to me like he's fully committed. And you can see it in his body language, his facial expression. He is absolutely in 5th gear now. The time is drifting a little bit. We're now to outside 2:07. The story of the race, though, would be if this very, very experienced athlete, Kaan Keegan Osbilen of Turkey at 39 years of age, the Turkish national record holder in his 3rd marathon of the year, 2:08 in Doha, 2:13 in Leuven. He ran for Turkey in the World Championships in Tokyo in September, finished 19th. So in his 4th marathon of the year at the age of 39, could pull something out of the bag. The gap has gone bigger, now 5 seconds. "19 minutes to run." None of these will do a run in training as short as 19 minutes, but they're doing it on tired legs. Needs to settle now, needs to not keep looking back, just settle, key in on the lead vehicle, the course measurer on the bicycle. It's there for the taking at the moment. It's tantalizing though, because this is the point where strange things can happen in a marathon. Cramps and blisters, glycogen deficit, hitting the wall, all of those are potentially something that can drag you down in the closing stages. But what a moment this would be. $50,000 for the winner, and the biggest marathon win, one of the biggest race wins of his life. Former European cross-country champion, but on the roads, he set a national record in Valencia in 2019, but this is a win, and they are precious. Is it going to be a win? We can see first, second and third at the moment in this head-on shot. Running in the colours of the NN running team. That's the Dutch-based team. Training camps in Kenya. Global Sports Communications manage those athletes. This is an athlete that they'll have managed for probably 15 years or so. Now he can't see the lead car, or the timing car has managed to get in between them. That should make him feel a bit better that he's perhaps got that big a gap when it was only a few meters not so long ago. He's chasing the camera car now. It feels like it could be a winning run for home for him, but it's not over yet. We're coming up to 150. He's got 17 minutes of running still to go. Well, it could be approaching 10 seconds. He's worked so hard over the last couple of kilometers to just try and ease himself away, and it is working at the moment. And I wonder, looking back, whether the Ethiopian might be just trying to protect second place at the moment, because he's under a little bit of pressure from Kipkamoy. Look at the facial expression. He is absolutely flat out here, but he's got to hold it together. I visited there last year. It is absolutely fantastic, the Sheikh Zayed Grand Mosque. It's got architecture that reflect different styles from around the world: Moroccan, Egyptian, British, Italian, Emirati, Pakistani. Just takes your breath away. But one tourist that won't be absorbing the sights is the current, now runaway leader of the ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon, Kaan Keegan Özbilen of Turkey, 39 years young. Bit of a downhill section away from the Grand Mosque. Still on schedule for 2:07, 16 minutes to run. Looks a bit ragged, doesn't he? But he hasn't looked fantastic throughout. He's got a lot of lateral movement in the shoulders. There are no remarks columns on the results. There are no comments. It's just the win, the check, and the glory. And is it going to go to Turkey for the first time? In the foreground, that is the War Memorial opposite the mosque. It's only been there since November the 30th of 2016. That's the significant day, the day that the UAE was created from the 7 separate Emirates into the United Arab Emirates. I can hear the helicopter above us at the finish line. Is he taking on board water? Is it too close to the finish? He's a man on a mission. Welcome along if you're just joining us. This is Geoff Wightman with the live stream commentary. And as the local time approaches 7:45, it is the surprise leader in the men's event, Kaan Keegan Özbilen, formerly Mike Keegan of Kenya, long-time representative of Turkey, the national record holder. He'll be 40 in the next year. opening up the possibilities in marathon racing. Leader in the women's race is 23, so we've got quite the contrast there. Big right-hander sweep. It's a big landmark, the Zayed Sports City Stadium, the main football stadium, which accommodates 37,000 spectators, will be a landmark that he'll be able to see from a distance. And he now has less than 14 minutes to run to take the title and the $50,000 check. So this will be one of the last major turns in the race around this roundabout, and then a straight section. I'm just looking to see if we get Sports City in the distance. Little way off yet. Wonderful shots this of the Grand Mosque there as well. Just looking to see what that gap is. It's his to lose now for the race of his life. Khan Keegan Osbolen now has just over 12 minutes. In profile, sideways on, he looks fantastic. I mean, look at the cadence, look at the bounce. It's just when you see him head on that the shoulders rock a little bit and it looks like fatigue. No point looking back now. You've got to assume that he's fully committed, that if he could go faster, he would. But the good news is, from that glance, if he got anything from it, is that the margin is now well over 10 seconds. Taking the incline on this ramp, looking okay. A little bit of a nod of the head as he crests it. Turkey leading in the men's race, Kenya leading in the women's. This is the chaser, the much choppier stride of Hiriden. His three names: Abdurrahman Azra Hiriden. He's only 26. He has won a marathon in Seville in 2022. 2:18 for 10th in Mumbai back in January. This is going to be significantly better than that for him. Personal best 2:04.43, so he was one of the 5 men in the starting lineup who'd gone sub 2:05. It's not going to be a personal best for him. It's not going to be a personal best or a national record for Osbolen, but these are notable places for the leading two. Coming around the back of the Grand Mosque. It's among the largest mosques in the world. And that's our first glimpse for a while of the women's leader, Catherine Reline Amanangole. And she has been absolutely relentless in this. And notice, unlike Osbolen, she never looks back. In all the times we've seen her, I think the course record is drifting away now. 2:20.46, it's going to be a terrific time. Just going to look at, well, 2:20.34 is her lifetime best. So at the moment, she's within 12 seconds of that. That will be the carrot, the win, the $50,000, and whether she can get inside her personal best as well as defending the title. Can't see anybody now behind Osbolen in the men's race. he will be pleased to see the clock tick over to 2 hours, except I think the timing clock may be on the car behind him, unless it's moved in front in the last kilometre. Our lone wheelchair competitor approaching the finish line. I think that's a $1,000 reward for him in taking that. In the end, he started at... oh no, in fact, he's further back down the course, But he's the lone competitor, so we'll take the honours in that. Little glimpse of... No, he is in the finishing straight. This is the men's wheelchair winner. So the lone competitor in that category got away from that blended start to take the title. Pleased enough with that. That will be sub 2 hours for him. Osbelen, that must be a relief now not to see anybody. No point looking back anymore, because he's now 7, maybe 8 minutes from glory. He will be able to see the stadium now in the distance. Just a couple of turns. It's a fantastic finish. Walked through it in both directions yesterday and today. It's almost a nervousness, isn't it? This constant looking over his left shoulder. Just perhaps trying to confirm to himself that he's under no threat, and he isn't. He is still going away, but he may be just toiling a little bit himself, feeling it, and perhaps worried that somebody's reviving behind him. We're now through 2 hours. If you're just joining us, welcome along. It's Geoff Wightman with your coverage of the last major marathon of 2025, the ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon. Khan Keegan Osbelen is the leader in the men's race, going away from the field at the moment, and the defending champion Catherine Amanangole leading in the women's race. Inside the final 2 kilometres now for Osbelen. Few spectators out now. It's coming up to 8 o'clock local time. Last drink station, he does take on board some fluid, so that's perhaps telling a tale of how hard he's having to work, because you won't necessarily get the benefit of that over the next 5 minutes or so. It will take that long to get absorbed, but he felt he needed it, so he's almost running on empty. He has had a distinguished career on all surfaces: track, cross-country, shorter road events, and on the road, and in the marathon. But this is still a big day for somebody that's seen and done most things in the sport. It was a decent World Championship performance, 19th. It was a very, very hot day. I was there in Tokyo when he ran his 2:13. You can almost forget about the time there. The position, top 20 in the world, and that was, what, 10 weeks ago? So he's turned it around quickly. Now, just wonder, it's a strong shot of the Ethiopian, Hiridin. Looks to be moving well, but it felt as though the work had been done by Keegan. He's just struggling a little bit. I think that's why he's looking back endlessly, because he's got a bear on his back, and the marathon really starting to bite now. I wonder if he's even going to break 2:07.5. I think he'll rally. I think there's enough experience and racecraft in him to know what he needs to do to conserve and maybe even to enjoy these final stages. About 4 minutes to run for our first finisher in the men's ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon of 2025. If we go through the list of major marathon winners of the year, there's been obviously hundreds of marathons around the world. Don't think Turkey has won too much of them, and that's about to change. 2:10 projecting, so he has slowed up a lot in the last quarter of the race. I think that's why he's looking back. He knows that there's nothing else he can give, and just hoping somebody behind isn't reviving in a big way. Abdulrahman Azra Hiridan of Ethiopia is the closest athlete. Don't know the gap. We think it's somewhere around 30 seconds. So soon these vehicles will accelerate away, so he has the finishing straight all to himself. Just interested to see, given how much the pace has slowed away from a 2:07:30 pace in the last few kilometres, what the gap is over second, and in particular third, which I think will still be Kenneth Kipkemoy, 41 years of age. There's the contraflow, the athletes finishing the 5K. Walking to the finish there. And this is effectively the finishing straight that he's entering now. A long one with a turn. Özbilen, one of the most experienced competitors in endurance running around the world. This is the head-on camera from the finish line, so it will fall short, and he's still got 3 or 4 minutes of running still to go. Oh, and there's second place, and he's going for it. He is going for it, Hiridan. That's the first time we've seen him in a while. I wonder if there's a little bit of drama still to be played out in this. He will see the camera bikes, he will see Özbilen in that bright orange singlet. There's third place as well. So this is not done yet. Hiridan did look to be moving well. See if we can count the gap from crossing that hump there at 40 seconds or thereabouts. How far behind is Hiridan? Well, I think it's still about 15 or 16 seconds, and we're into the final 200 meters. So he can breathe easy. There's the stadium as he heads towards it. So that 2:10 prediction was incorrect. He's held it together as he comes onto the carpet. It is still going to be around about 2:07.5. And the champion here at the ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon is Özbilen of Turkey. Scott overall congratulates him. Here comes Hiridan. He has won marathons in the past, but this is a good performance for him. He celebrates as well. Second place for Ethiopia goes to Azra Hiridan, and he's loving it. still got plenty of running in him, hasn't he? Yeah, so that projection of 2:10 was incorrect. Kip Kamoy is going to take third place at the age of 41. He's happy enough with that. We will see all of them on the podium. The medal presentations will conclude our coverage today. So it didn't slow up that much in the end. Despite his looking back and the raggedness of his running, it was a strong final quarter, strong enough for Özbilen for the win. This is Mike Kiptum-Boyt, the number 2 seed. He's going to take 4th place, and there you can see that sort of rainbow-coloured peloton of athletes that we've seen at different points in the race, and they were operating a minute or two back down the road. They've almost closed the gap. They're going to take all of the remaining top 10 positions. Everybody so far inside 2:10. I wonder if some of those other guys on that foreshortened head-on shot could possibly finish inside the next 25 seconds. Give us a few more under 2:10. Good quality.
The Abu Dhabi Sports Channel. We got more racers coming up.
So Boyt, the long-term leader, gets 4th place. That will earn him the sum of $6,000 US. The Bang of South Africa, then the 2 Ethiopians, Daegu and Reiter. And this is a high-digit number. I don't have him on my start list, but he is going to take, well, I think $3,000 for 5th place, so congratulations to him.
You got your next measure now, number 6.
Still under 2:11, Daegu and Reiter across the line.
Number 10.
Prize money goes down to 10th place. There's the top 3 in the 2025 ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon.
And here we go, finishing off into the lead category. A very good one once again to everybody live here at South Sports City.
So, some high-digit numbers here for athletes that are running 2:11. They will be part of the elite and international field. Unfortunately, I don't have their names. Previously, this finished by the ADNOC Tower on the Corniche. The new start and finish at Zayed Sports City has accommodated, we think, somewhere between 36,000 and 37,000 starters across all the events here today, which will be finishing for the next couple of hours. Just in the background there, I could see Vincent Kipyegon Rono. Very prolific marathon racer. Set his personal best of 2:08 at Eindhoven. It's going to be a 2:12 here today. Actually was runner-up in Eindhoven this October as well. There he is. I think we've had around about 13 or 14 finishers through so far. And on the left-hand side of the shot, on the other side of the cones, those are finishers in the 5K. Onto the carpet, the magic carpet, to take him across the line directly in front of the main stadium at Zayed Sports City. Well, this was the winning moment for Özbilen of Turkey. Be interested to know if that was the biggest win of his life. He's a European cross-country champion, but in road and marathon terms, that was a biggie for him.
Time 2 hours and 13 minutes, 25 seconds.
When last we checked, it was Catherine Amanangole of Kenya who was leading. We're not sure by how much in the women's event, but she was on schedule not only to defend her title, having won here last year in 2:20.34, but maybe even go slightly quicker and break her personal best. And if she's had a very good spell, challenge a bit closer to Bridget Koskai's fastest ever ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon at 2:19.15. This was Hiriden. Proper celebration for him. Continued beyond the finish line as well. Loved that second place for Ethiopia.
We've been told in a couple of minutes we're going to have the first women finisher too. Just impressive. I mean, I don't think
on the overhead gantry, you can see we're still under 2 hours 15.
Congratulations. Here we go. And next step. Yes. G. Keller time 2 hours 14 minutes, 36 seconds on the clock. Congratulations for finishing elite level category.
Combined age of 80, Kip Kamoy and Osbilen. Won't be the first time they've raced, and probably not the last either.
0.08 seconds. On the clock. Congratulations.
So a few different nationalities, including South Africa and Turkey in that leading 8, now confirmed on the official results on the left-hand side of the shot. We had 4 men under 2:10. Still coming in, but we're getting ready to see what's happening in the elite women's race. And time-wise, it always threatened to be closer to course record schedule than the men, and that may well be how it turns out. Here we are with Catherine Amanangole with a margin of 8 minutes over second place. Goodness me. No, that must be the margin behind the first finisher across the line. So she's on 2:16, within 3 minutes, hopefully, or 4 minutes, certainly, of the finish line. The first ever, if she does it, defending champion to win 2 in a row in the history of the ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon. Catherine Raylene Amanangole, pace-made brilliantly by Boniface Kemboy and Philemon Toroitich. They will peel off at a certain point and let her enjoy the closing stages separately. But their work has taken her to, well, I'm not sure. I got called out with that projected time in the men's race. Let's just see what she can do. We think somewhere around 2:20 low, maybe 2:20.20, somewhere thereabouts, but she may have sped up while we've not seen her in vision. There is an art to pacemaking, especially for male athletes. Pacemaking, women, just needs to be curated and chaperoned and encouraged, helped as much as possible. They're not allowed to take drinks and pass them to the athlete. That's regarded as assistants, but in terms of just nursing the athlete through bad patches and keeping the rhythm going, they do a fantastic job and are in demand around the world for those services, because the women's times are coming down more quickly than the men's at the moment. Hopefully we're into the last couple of minutes of racing now for Catherine Amanangole. Picture-in-picture showing the 5K and 2.5K finishers. But it's all about the first woman, the first athlete ever to defend an ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon title. And she's so close now for Kenya. Turkey took the men's title. Kenya are going to take the women's title. Her personal best, 2:20.34. She's got just over a minute to break that. So we go to the head-on shots. This is going to be close, I think. The telling point will be when she passes the 42-kilometer marker on the right-hand side. I think she's going to be just outside her lifetime best, but as the pacers peel off, she gets to do this last couple of 100 meters on her own. Got 34 seconds to break her lifetime best. I think she knows it. Not really able to enjoy it as much as Osbilen, because she knows there's a personal best there as a possibility. So it's going to be a little bit of history in the 7-year running of the ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon. We're going to have our first double winner back-to-back for Catherine Amanangole, and she did it in broadly the same way. Now into the last 200 meters. Personal best has just been missed by a few seconds, but it doesn't matter. That's for another day. Right now, she's about to win again, and we hope we see her for a hat-trick attempt next year, because the women's champion here at the 2025 edition of the ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon is for Kenya, and it is Catherine Amanangole.
Our time, 2 hours, 21 minutes and 17 seconds. Congratulations.
She never looked back once when we had her in vision. We don't know what the gap is to second place. Last year's runner-up is out there somewhere. That is Tekla Girgish. Already the gap is 20 seconds. I think it could be potentially a minute or two. And she's worked hard for that.
Simply impressive. Congratulations, her first woman finisher for the elite category.
She's had a lot of success at the half marathon.
Congratulations, what a great feat.
She hasn't finished the last 2 London marathons, or her last 2 attempts at the London Marathon, but I think this will put her back in the conversation with that time of 2:21.17. Let's look back at the closing stages for the defending champion, the successful defending champion, Catherine Amanangole of Kenya, just 23 years of age, so quite the contrast with the leading 2 men who were either side of 40. She's relatively new in her running journey, but already she's put 2 of these wins together. Powerful through the line. Amanangole takes it for 2 years running.
I think you also can do that. kid.
Never tried it. I don't know if I will. But
You never know.
Steve, what makes
We
us
will
really
have the
happy
presentation of
is
awards. We're still closing out the podium in the women's competition.
Definitely being tired and fatigued, but at the same time,
It was quite a while since we had an update on the gaps.
And we got one more, 2:78.
The last time we did,
Congratulations.
probably just before the halfway point, Tekla Gergish of Eritrea was in second, and she had her own personal pacemaker with her. On a day for golden oldies, Edna Kiplagat at 46 years young looks like she is going to take second place. Under a bit of pressure behind. That is in third place at the moment, Bertukan Yifru of Ethiopia. Edna Kiplagat, who is a double world champion from 2011 and 2013, the winner in Boston in 2017 and 2021, the winner in London in 2014. A bit of a legend of the sport, and at 46 years of age, she is going to take our second podium position here in Abu Dhabi. What a glorious day for the masters of marathon running. Those that know their way around a course, know how to judge a 26-miler, a 42-kilometer race. You can see it's a margin of 3.5 minutes, so she's going to be under 2:25. Edna Kiplagat takes second place. Brilliant. And this is Yifru of Ethiopia, a 2:25 runner, completing the podium and celebrating. That is our top three in the women's event. Kenya, Kenya, Ethiopia.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a special announcement. We're looking for a child. His name is Ollie Armstrong. He ran 2.5 kilometers.
I think she may have won the New York Marathon as well 15 years ago. Very, very, very experienced racer.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, public service announcement, we're looking for a kid.
Remember, prize money in the women's goes down to 10th as well. $50,000 for the winner.
Ollie Armstrong, he's a young kid running at a 2.5 here we're looking for. Thank you.
That was a big day for Yifru. This is last year's runner-up with her personal pacemaker. This is Dolce Tesfu Tekla Gergish.
Put him up, what does it say?
And that pacemaker who's helped her to fourth place is Mahari Solomon Tekliab, also of Eritrea. Finishing strongly for fourth. That will win $6,000.
Let's take a picture here.
Fatima Gardadi of Morocco.
And congratulations.
Didn't finish in the World Championships in Tokyo 10 weeks ago, but she's taking 5th place here. And we're on 2:27. Good run for her. She was 10th in the Paris Olympics, 3rd in the 2023 World Championships.
Okay, all right. Your pace.
Asmira Abreha of Ethiopia
You know what time it is?
ran 2:21 in Shanghai. She's going to be at 2:27 here.
All right, what ladies run? All right, here we go still, and the elite level marathon now, the ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon. Next, we will finisher, Arena. Congratulations.
Some quite big gaps
Great job.
on a day of, across the various distances, 36,000 runners. These have been somewhat isolated runs. Pascalia Chepkogai, the 36-year-old Kenyan. Took a third in Taipei earlier in the year.
2 hours, 28 minutes and 0.07 seconds.
2A of Kenya.
Congratulations, ladies. Wow, women power.
Backs up 2:43 at Lanzhou in China in May. Meskrema Sefa of Ethiopia.
And here we go.
He's been running marathons since 2013, 34 years of age, the former winner of the Frankfurt Marathon.
For time, 2 hours, 20 minutes and 41 seconds.
There's the champion, looking a bit dazed and confused. This was it. The win for Amanangole.
Official time, 2 hours, 29 minutes and 0.02 seconds. Great job, ladies. Congratulations. Sheila Mita also crosses out. Jabari Jella Orissa from Ethiopia. Time, 2 hours, 29 minutes and 13 seconds. All right, how about you ladies? How long will you take to finish full marathon? 4 hours. Wow. Congratulations.
So the finishers will be blended now. Still in the elite fields, still the international fields of men and women. Remember, it was a 15-minute head start they had over the mass participants in the full marathon. That will be the podium we'll be seeing very shortly. Edna Kiplagat, fantastic run in second place. We don't know how that panned out for her, whether she came through or whether she was in second for a long period of time, but still a great result for her. I think when I was looking at her stats, she's got results from the 90s, the 1990s. So it's not her first rodeo. This was just reprising the podium positions. Yifru of Ethiopia with the third place in the women's. I think that's a little religious token that she's taken out before she got to the line.
And here we go, guys. Next finisher for women's category.
Just outside 2.5 hours now. There's the confirmation on the left-hand side of the women's positions so far. Some big gaps there. Almost a 4-minute winning margin for Amanangole over Edna Kiplagat. First 10 all inside 2:29, or all just 10th place just outside 2:29.
With a time of 2 hours, 31 minutes and 49 seconds.
Temperature now is around about 22 degrees. The humidity has come down very slightly from 70% down to just around 70. That's Sensibeta Galani of Ethiopia.
2 hours, 32 minutes and 17
I think we're still inside the top 20 women. I don't think I've seen a major marathon with an age profile quite as mature as this one. We had Galani finishing there at age 35, so we've had a few years of marathon wins going to athletes in their early 20s where they miss out the track element of their historic career and just go straight to road and straight to marathons in early 20s. Now we're seeing perhaps some of those same athletes sticking around into their 30s, making a living at it, being able to avoid injury, looking after themselves better, and being able to win races into their late 30s. And in the case of Edna Kiplagat, finishing runner-up at age 46. It's just a number. Nice overhead shots of the 5K finishers. Entries are already open for 2026. It will be the equivalent date in December of next year. So if you're watching this from overseas and think what a fine place it would be to visit, it is. And it's a nice way to double it up with a sporting adventure as well. 22 degrees the temperature. Fantastic city. Abu Dhabi has moved on another notch on world road running. 37,000 finishers, 5K there. This is how it looked at the start. First hour before dawn, second hour after the sun rose, and 5 different races, including the marathon relay, being contested. It's still only 8:30 in the morning. Significant number of marathon runners already finished. The mass participation marathon field well on its way. Most of the 2.5K and 5K runners have finished. Most of the 10K runners have finished. Still a number of them because we had wave starts making their journey. Marathon runners will be finishing within the masses for the next hour or two. Temperature not forecast to get above 23 degrees. Looking back on different elements of the race, we're at the midpoint. We are at the breakaway point for Osbelen, the men's champion. These were the closing stages. He had a fright when he looked back, but he looked back lots of times. But towards the end, the gap was closing again to Hiridan of Ethiopia in second, you can see. But that foreshortened angle was very late on and does make it look closer than it was. Live pictures from the drone here at the finish line. Another beautiful day coming up. They can enjoy the rest of it, even if they had to get up at 3 o'clock this morning to take part in this. It will be very satisfying now. There are medals, I think, to collect. I've seen the images of the medals, beautiful finishers' medals in all event disciplines. I think the awards presentation is about 5 or 10 minutes away now, so we can enjoy the pictures of the finishers in the supporting races. Hopefully some of them will graduate to the full marathon over the next few years. There's an obvious progression, isn't there? 5K, 10K, marathon relay, marathon, if you really get into your running. .105 or 150 plus different nationalities represented within this lineup. So that's about the conclusion of our coverage here. Thank you very much for joining us wherever you've been in the world. Season's greetings to you from me, Geoff Wightman, and from all of us here at the 2025 ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon. It's goodbye.